What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hadfield. Joining me this week is Justin Davis, Sam Claiborne,
Hi,
and Tina Amini.
Hi, hello.
We've got a great show for you this week.
Great?
A great show.
That's not what the show notes looked like to me earlier.
This week is going to be great. You haven't even seen the show notes.
That's a good point, Damon. This is going to be a tough show for the rest of us.
We got to talk about Nintendo's very successful Thanksgiving week. We're going to look through the September to October 1989 issue of GamePro because we're in a new month. And that can only mean one thing.
Yeah, we're going to read an old magazine.
But first, it's that time of year again. It's time to run down. Oh, that sounds better in my ears. It's time to run down the worst games of 2019.
Did we do this before?
We do this every year.
We knew what the games of 2019 that would be bad were last year.
No.
We should predict what the worst games of 2020 are going to be.
That's a really good segment. Maybe a mean segment.
Well, maybe
a mean.
that should be in your show notes
Yeah, it should be.
for 2020.
Damon, can you turn me down?
Are you this one?
Yeah. That's much. Nope.
That's higher.
Nope. just forget it. I'll just.
How's that? Is that better?
It's fine.
Okay. The worst games of 2019.
All right. And this is definitive?
This is definitive.
And have we played any of them?
You and I have played one of them.
Okay.
I wonder if I've played any of them.
I know I haven't.
I bet.
Which means I did good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
did
think
good.
so.
I
You did
avoided,
it right.
Yeah.
You chose wisely.
That's true. We put up an article on this this week. The article was very specifically the worst reviewed games, and it was based on the Metacritic scores because the truth is a lot of these games IGN doesn't even review. Because if it's a game that no one's ever heard of, it's not doing anyone much of a service to say, hey, here's a game you've never heard of. It's really bad.
That's a good way to put it.
Not very useful information. But there are some high-profile games from high-profile developers and publishers like Square Enix and Left Alive.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah, you remember that one?
No, and it's
Yeah.
Square Enix. Did
Yeah.
we?
I was aware of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Left
what is it?
Alive.
We didn't review that one?
We did. That one we
okay,
reviewed.
okay.
So we're only talking about the ones we reviewed.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Well, there might be one.
Well,
There's one or
There's
two
some
in here.
gems in there.
Critics.
Some scoop gems.
Yeah, this is actually our lowest score of the year, 3.8.
Wow.
To Left Alive. That's as low as we got.
That's
this
as
a rare
low as we
score.
got.
Yeah.
That is a rare score.
for us, yeah.
Yeah, Left Alive. Some people were interested because it used the artist that used to work on Metal Gear, so the art was sort of reminiscent of Metal Gear. But
That like cool, like painty, like kind of ripped
yeah,
style?
Yeah.
Okay.
And our review called it a creaky and frustratingly broken mix of stealth and action.
That's just what you want is frustrating stealth in any game. That's the worst combination possible.
So 3.8 is as low as we got. It's been a long time since we've given out like a 1. I looked. I think it was 2005.
And what was it?
It was like Elf Bowling. But it was
I
Elf
remember
Bowling.
Elf Bowling.
It was Elf Bowling 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They were on
all in
one card.
cartridge. Yeah, that's really
What a deal.
convenient.
Well, you had like Elf Bowling was free. It was like a flash game that you played free
No,
in your web browser.
but you'd rather pay for it, right?
You want to play it on your Nintendo DS.
Well, that's at least a 2 if there's 2 games in there. I mean,
there you go. One
Yeah.
plus
double
one.
the deal, exactly.
That's just
Maybe
that's
it was
just
a-
That's
simple
just
math.
exactly.
Maybe it was 1 and a 0 or 2.5s. We were in a meeting where a pair told us there was a 0 given out, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
said, "What was it for?" And he immediately said the name of a hockey game that we've never heard of. So I don't know if it's true or not.
I want to say
tell.
I don't know if it was hockey. I want to say it was an Olympic game.
it was.
Oh,
maybe it wasn't
It was
hockey.
Olympic hockey because
Oh,
they
okay. Yeah.
There we
re-released.
go. We're all right.
It was both of them.
They re-released that year's hockey game, and the review is a 0, and it says, "When you make a new game, we'll write a new review."
Yeah, it was last year's game with new box art, which I think happened with FIFA this year actually on Switch.
yeah,
FIFA
that did happen. That's in there.
FIFA 20 Legacy Edition that was a Switch version, and IGN's review, I think it was Simon that reviewed it, said there's honestly no genuine reason I could give you to purchase FIFA 20 on Switch if you already own FIFA 19 on Switch.
Yikes.
We gave it a 4.
And even FIFA 19 was problematic.
Simon should have given it a 0.
That would have
Well,
been a really fun.
We reserve 0s for like utterly broken, like can't barely load the game.
I'm not confident giving a 0 wouldn't break something on IGN.
If I were a game
be great.
developer, I would make it my goal to make a game that IGN would review and give a 0 to. So how would you
so that you
reach
can
that criteria?
get the Guinness World Record for quickest failure.
Well, I think the point would be so it would sell a lot of copies because it's bad. Because it would get
That's
attention.
not how it
would
works.
get attention because it got a 0.
I'm picking up what Sam's putting down. What he's saying
It's like
is
a novelty.
But no, but you would like meme it on Twitter. You
But
wouldn't
what-
actually
what
go
Sam's
out
saying
and
is
buy
we-
a broken game.
we just generally ignore bad games. We just
Yes.
don't review them at all.
So how do you get
what
the
gets
attention?
us to review it
If you slap on like Marvel
Yeah.
on the title or something, Star Wars, and you just can't load
That's
it.
what I was
All
gonna
right, so get an expensive license and then make a Zero game.
Yeah.
This sounds like a really bad journey for
If
someone.
I was an evil genius, an evil billionaire genius, then that's exactly what I'd spend my time doing.
Yeah.
Or if it
Good
came
use of
from
your
a
time.
studio, well-known studio that we typically review games from. They can throw all their money away and
Put Crash
make
Bandicoot
it broken.
in it.
Yeah, literally crash.
I like it.
just crash.
Just crash. That's the only way to get a 0.
Yep.
A Contra game came out this year. A new Contra game. It's
Very
been
exciting.
a long time.
And Damon forced me to play it.
We did play it in a Let's Play.
We haven't talked since. I mean, I know it looks like we're talking to each other right now, but I'm actually talking to Tina and Justin only.
Yeah. Sam's not even in the room. It's weird. We record Sam's parts separately.
So who did we play? CJ, I think, too?
Yeah, we
It was
played
a
CJ.
3-player top-down Contra game. And to be fair, Contra has had top-down segments before. In
Yeah.
Contra 3, the Alien Wars.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like a Contra game, but it was like an okay shooty top-down thing.
We gave it a 4. That's not okay. Okay would be a 6, Sam.
It's true, but I didn't review it.
Would you have given it a 6?
I didn't play enough to review it. I withhold judgment.
It was pretty bad, and it's just like it's just a sad.
Your Honor.
Contra is just in a very sad state of affairs over at Konami right now. It's a long-running and beloved game series that hadn't seen a new entry in a long time, and woof, that was not what people wanted.
Well, can you imagine being the artist that did all the Metal Gear art and then being like, I'm out of here, and
Yeah.
then getting your game reviewed as a 3.8 or whatever?
Do you think Contra is a good candidate for getting like the God of War style reboot? Like take it very seriously and
Like
lean
super
in.
cinematography version?
Yeah, or just like lean into the seriousness of the character and like introspection of his past.
Bill
They
and
bring in Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Lance?
Yeah,
It's Bill
but
and
that's a good point. It's already a knockoff of Terminator,
Yeah.
Alien,
Rambo,
and Rambo.
Alien, yeah.
So it's like just maybe those franchises should make good games. But and I know Alien has some pretty good.
You know,
games.
speaking of all that, this is a tangent. We're gonna take a strange corner. I've just been thinking recently. New Terminator bombed at the box office. New Rambo bombed. New Alien bombed last year or 2 years ago. I just wonder if like that's sort of like the 80s nostalgia well is drying up.
Or
gotta
can
move
we
on to
pick
90s
up
nostalgia.
those franchises for very cheap and make a game that would get scored as a 0?
Journey to Silius.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they did Blade Runner, sadly.
Also Blade Runner, which I thought was a good movie.
Well, incredible movie. I loved that movie.
Okay, moving on. Bad games, worst games. WWE 2K20, which I think it's been bad for a long time.
Well, to have a FIFA and a WWE on there that are like that rejected by their audiences and that bad is really, really crappy because those were like the heights of their franchises. Although the other FIFA games this year were good.
we give that a 4.3.
Really, really botched WWE this year.
Mitchell said it's a buggy mess.
So funny though.
Buggy mess, but its gameplay also feels notably worse than previous years.
Remember the stretchy people running around the rings?
Yeah.
It's so good.
I mean, if you look at it as a comedy game, it's a 9, so.
See, that's the thing. If I would review that game, aside from and not knowing anything about WWE, I think I could get some pleasure out of it because it was just so stupid.
People just vibrating through the ropes.
Yeah, it's like Goat Simulator, right?
You guys know Avalanche Studios?
Yeah.
What do they make?
Mad Max.
And Just Cause.
Yeah.
They put out a game this year called Generation Zero.
No one knows that.
I know, nobody knows that, but they put out a game and we gave it a 4.
Okay.
What?
I know, it's crazy. You would think the
Wait,
Just
they
Cause,
made Mad Max?
yeah,
Okay.
which is really good.
And Just Cause.
But they put out this Generation Zero game. Oof, pretty bad. And then there's Wolfenstein Cyber Pilot. We didn't. That's the VR game. We actually didn't review it, but it has a 50 on Metacritic. So it's right in there. Much of the criticism is directed at. It has a very short story, an underwhelming combat, and a general lack of content.
So it didn't make everybody universally puke
Nope.
because that would be a really cool VR game. Another goal of mine.
Another 0.
All those VR people that play VR and they're like, nah, it doesn't make me motion sick. I'll make you sick in my next game.
You want the badge for that?
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's kind of a bad year for Wolfenstein. Youngblood didn't make much of an impact either.
I didn't play it, but I wanted to play it. And I still want to play it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an impact.
Can you believe the latest Leisure Suit Larry wasn't reviewed very well?
Well,
it has a 50.
If
We
Leisure
didn't
Suit
review
Larry hasn't been good or popular ever, and it's had 30 years of games, like how do you reconcile that? Who is making it and exchanging the license and buying it and making more games? I just don't get how it happens.
I think it's the original guy, the original creator still making
Larry?
it. Larry, yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of Terminator, there was a new Terminator game called Terminator Resistance. We gave it a 4.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
That might not
I think
exist.
it just came out recently.
Okay.
Yeah,
What are you gonna say?
I was gonna share a leisure suit. I can't say that.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Wow, how did you just do that?
I'm a big
He's
fan.
been saying it a lot.
The very original game had very bawdy content in it, and so to ensure that no kids played it, you had to answer a trivia question when you booted the game up about that only adults would know. Like, what was the name of President Reagan's blah blah blah.
That's pretty good.
It's very
Pretty
cute.
good.
Or like, what were those jokes in Shrek that you didn't get when you were a kid?
That would be like, yeah, who's the voice of Donkey and Shrek? And it's like,
Hey, do you know where you can watch Shrek?
Oh,
On,
yeah.
on the Game Boy Advance.
That's why that was top of mind.
You can watch it.
Yeah.
The movie.
Game Boy Advance Video was a thing. And it was
What?
Shrek and another movie. There was 2 movies on one cartridge.
The other
What was
movie
it?
was worse than Shrek.
Yeah, it was forgettable, clearly.
Yeah.
You're blowing my mind right now.
I know, it blew my mind.
do we have that cart?
Yes,
Yeah.
we absolutely should.
Ooh.
And the
The movie?
Bago GBA.
And it's not a game; it's the movie.
Yeah, it's not only that, but there was episodes of Nicktoons shows and episodes of Pokemon, and they were like $30 for 2 episodes. But
Yeah.
they played on the GBA, and kids
like
could just watch
Dexter's
them.
Laboratories on a GBA
It's
video
got to be
cartridge.
like the size of a postage stamp.
Isn't that crazy?
It's a
Yeah,
thing.
that's crazy. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Crackdown 3. That might be one of the most high profile games on this list.
R.I.P.
We gave
That's
that
how you do it.
overall a 4, but we gave the multiplayer component. Overall got a 5. The multiplayer got a 4.
Okay.
From IGN. Probably not going to see another Crackdown game.
No, that
think
was
so.
it. Crackdown 1 was so good.
Yeah.
2, not so good.
Then there's Shenmue 3. That finally came out.
Was that really one of the worst games this year?
5.9.
Oh.
So it's
Just on the
According
cusp.
to us.
On the cusp of okay.
Yeah, mediocre, I think, for 5.9 runs.
Yep.
Yeah, mediocre. And then, Justin, you haven't played any of these games yet?
No.
What about Elder Scrolls Blades?
Yeah, I did play
Early
Blades.
access. Yeah. We gave it a 5.4.
I like Blades fine.
Did it ever exit early access?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
I think it did because we reviewed it finally.
We will do a review, like an early in progress.
I just think we have the early access review. I don't think we ever.
I don't know. Blades was fine, but it was a little bit. I feel bad for people that think that, this just be what games on phones are. Like, there's much, much better examples of mobile gaming than Blades.
Those are the worst games of 2019.
Nice.
I think we got out of the year pretty unscathed this year. There have been worse years.
Well,
For sure.
I think that there were, plenty of games that were unreviewed that we need to start dipping into that have really funny names on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Like, what was the one? What was the one from our lost
remember it.
episode?
The
You're
ball,
Oh, yeah.
ball bounce.
It was like ball avoidance, something like that.
That was the description.
No music, but sound that makes relaxing,
pleasing.
pleasing.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think is? So, what do you think each of you is the worst game you played this year?
Ooh.
And it doesn't have to
I
be,
mean,
even if it was
I
like
don't know what
the
you mean
no, but just like
There's games that didn't match my enjoyment. Like I hated Kingdom Hearts.
but you played Kingdom Hearts. That's amazing.
I know it was my fault. I'm sorry.
I thought it was cute, but it wasn't like an impressive game that left a mark on my memory. It was just like, this is enjoyable for the 5 minutes I want to put into it.
Yeah.
Exaggerating.
I played 4 or 5 hours of that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Because that's the opening cutscene.
Wow, that's
No,
impressive.
it wasn't. There was plenty of gameplay in it. It just was not for me. Sorry.
Contra Road Corp is definitely one of the worst games I played this year. But also, I was really disappointed with Rage 2. I played a lot of Rage 2, and
I got through Rage 2 also.
So it was being sold as being like so crazy and over the top. It's like a post-apocalyptic world with all this pink, and actually playing the game is pretty
pink.
Yeah, like it was like we've got these neon
edgy.
colors, and
We're like punks. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also it was pretty tame and dull actually playing through that game.
Yeah. The shooties were fine,
Yeah, they're fine.
but like the story wasn't exactly pushing me through. The level design wasn't exactly pushing me through.
What's
yeah.
Tina's worst game?
I don't know. I get the benefit of having other people play it first and then tell me. So I've played games I've mostly enjoyed, but those are good shout outs for like mediocre.
Shout out to the bad games. Justin, anything you played and we're like, no.
I played a lot of bad Apple Arcade games because I tried to
yeah.
work my way through the whole library.
That's right, yeah.
Overall, that library is incredible. Like, it's
Yeah.
so many more hits and misses, and for a service, it's only $5 a month. Like, it's absolutely unbelievable. But there's still 10 or 12 games in there that I would never choose to go through if I wasn't explicitly trying to work my way through everything.
Remember that skateboarding game we played?
Oh yeah, that one that we found on Steam. That was like not even.
We played some Steam crappy games.
Oh, yeah.
Bigfoot?
Steam turds.
What
We
was
played
that?
Bigfoot.
What was that Let's Play we did of that weird night survival game? Did that ever go up on the site?
Wait,
No, we
did
just
a-
played that for fun. We didn't do anything. That was
we were not-
Bigfoot.
And
I can't tell the
Aren't you
difference
talking
between-
about Bigfoot?
I don't know.
was
I don't know when I'm being recorded
Remember
and when I'm not. Were we just playing that for fun?
Yeah. Look, so we used to have a game that we played called It's Fun Checking Out Steam Games.
Oh, yeah.
And because we had a big TV set up near our desk, and now the TV got moved away, and now we can't play.
Well, we have it
can't
set up
check.
in a
We can't
different-
have fun
we have
checking
another
out
TV.
Steam games anymore.
We're okay. We can still do It's Fun playing.
I got you. There's anything you want to play is right by my desk now.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, sure.
Man,
A PC.
remember back in the first quarter, didn't just have a crushing amount of work to complete,
Yeah.
and we had time to play Steam games.
I will say there were games that weren't bad, but weren't my cup of tea.
Sure.
Like Sayonara Wild Hearts. We talked about that
That's
a little
true,
bit.
too. I played that
Everyone
one.
on our
Did
staff
not like
loves that game, just not super into that specific kind of rhythm game.
Nobody really loves it as a game, do they?
You think
It's just
so?
as
I
a
think they do.
audio-visual experience. It's incredible, but
Yeah.
it's hard to play.
Tom liked it a lot.
Yeah, Tom loved it. He said he played it 3 times.
I played it twice, but it's
What
is going
like
on?
Beat it 3 times?
It's an
Yeah.
hour
And you beat
long.
it? Oh, okay. I didn't.
It's
realize
like
it was so short.
it's a
but
playable
still.
music video.
Okay.
And I guess there are like challenges per level, right? So you could theoretically play to challenge yourself and increase your score.
Queen Latifah's in it.
Really? I had no idea.
Do you think that's the first video game she's ever been in?
No, she was in Rap Jam Volume 2.
Is that true?
I think I can verify that.
Is that the fighting game?
It's a basketball game.
Oh, what was there was the Def Jam fighting game, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Queen Latifah's not in that?
I don't know. I'm looking at Rap Jam. Oh, sorry. First of all, it's Volume 1. That's why I think it's funny, because there was never Volume 2. Here's the list of
That is
artists.
funny.
It's Motown related.
And it's a basketball game.
Yeah. It's got Coolio, House of Pain, LL Cool J, Naughty by Nature, Onyx, Public Enemy, Queen Latifah,
Whoa.
Warren G, and Yo-Yo.
What's the name of this game?
Can we just acknowledge how amazing it was that I knew that Queen Latifah was in a single other video game on this?
That is it. Okay.
That was right
But we
there.
need
You're
the
right,
game
Sam.
the game
That is
repeated
amazing.
to really know.
It was called Rap Jam Volume 1.
And
I own it.
And it's not a music game, it's a basketball game.
I know this game because Sean Baby said it was one of the 10 worst games ever made, and I bought all 10 of them.
And so that's a Super Nintendo game.
That was in 2000. Yeah,
Wow.
it's a Super Nintendo game.
Wow.
I'll bring it in. We can all play it.
Yes.
It's a basketball game. It's an NBA Jam knockoff called Rap Jam.
Can
Volume 1.
you play 4 players?
No, you can only play 2 players.
Well, okay.
And if play is a strong word.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. We should do a Let's Play. Let's move on.
Ooh.
Jazzy.
Outrun, right?
It is Outrun.
Cool.
The track is called Passing Breeze.
Well,
It's not a racing game, Dave.
no comment.
It's a driving game.
It's a driving game.
Nintendo says this past Thanksgiving week was its best week ever for Nintendo Switch sales in the U.S.
Oh, okay.
with over 830,000 units sold.
I thought you were just going to
last
tell us a really cool Thanksgiving story that Nintendo had, but it's just about sales.
They just
It's
make
not
a
about
lot of-
Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a good Thanksgiving thing.
Well,
This is good. No, this is short. It's short. It's short. My science friend, who's a scientist,
Okay.
said at this Thanksgiving, he's like, listen, we have too many leftovers every Thanksgiving. When you guys come over, you all should bring exactly the amount of the things you were asked to bring in that could fit into the contents of a human stomach. And that way, when everything's added up, it's just enough for everybody to eat.
Is that how food works, especially on Thanksgiving?
Yeah. So the idea was like, if you could imagine eating only one thing and you were bringing mashed potatoes,
Bring one stomach's worth.
bring one stomach's worth.
So
And
then-
everybody gets
So then you're going to fill 8 stomachs with 8 portions of the foods. I get it.
Yeah, and then the rest of the portions of everything can fit in perfectly because everything adds up to the amount of stomach.
Yeah, but everybody knows there are different sections to your stomach.
Oh, it's a
So there's
profoundly
like-
stupid thing for
well,
him
there's
to
like a
have said.
dessert section
Yeah,
that's
that's
just
true.
completely removed from the rest of the
'Cause
stomach.
the
Things are
second pie
getting
stomach.
crammed through the whole time, and then the dessert pocket opens.
Yeah. Did it work?
Nobody abided by it.
Yeah. No, it's nonsense.
But I
Especially
did.
for mashed potatoes, you got to plus
And
up
also,
on it.
no one's going to bring over a teeny, measly little, like, this is all I brought.
Well, but that's an interesting idea, right? My mashed potatoes is kind of easier to determine. Like maybe a bowl of mashed potatoes this big, I could get in, you know?
Yeah.
But like green beans, like I don't really know how to make that determination. And then you're talking about biscuits. Like, I don't know. I could probably eat 20 biscuits and I might die, but I could do it. Who knows?
your friend is probably going to have his science license revoked.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing. We
This is the funny
left
thing.
all the leftovers with him.
Yeah, 100%.
Didn't take off anything.
That'll teach him.
Why in the world would that be his instruction instead of just bring a Tupperware and take some leftovers home with you?
I
Science.
like that plan.
All right, you're right, Sam. That was a pretty good Thanksgiving story.
Thank you. I got a second one. No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, Nintendo sold over 830,000 Nintendo Switches last week, Thanksgiving week. That includes Switch Lites. And we were talking about this all day yesterday, Justin, because we were like, that doesn't really sound like that much. No. Like, that's really more than they sold at launch.
How many Switches did you sell, Damon?
Launch week, they didn't sell
I can answer
that
that question.
And actually, it's true. I looked at some data. There's data from launch week. Nintendo announced they'd sold over 500,000 in launch week in the U.S.
So they definitely sold more than that in launch window, but I guess they're making some distinction between like right at the moment of launch versus the rest of that.
Yeah,
who knows what.
They're looking at Sunday to Saturday. But for comparison, the PlayStation 4 sold over 1 million units in 24 hours in the U.S.
At launch?
on its launch day.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay.
But
yeah, well, that seems like a crazy thing to be buying, considering we know there's PlayStations coming out next year.
No, that was at launch.
No, launch.
Oh, launch.
They're
Okay.
launch, yeah.
24 hours.
But do we have no data for the PS4 over the past week then?
I don't think they released a crowing press release.
So people
like
do
Nintendo
have
did.
their heads about them and are probably not buying a bunch of PS4s.
The PS4 deal was great though. You know,
It was great.
Just the games alone, right?
Yeah.
The Nintendo thing is all the more impressive since that console is still $300, and in lieu of a price cut, instead they just released, a feature cut down version cheaper, so the Switch Lite. That's what they did instead of cutting the price of the Switch. So it's like what you were buying, what 830,000 people bought this year was like the same price and basically the same thing as people bought last year for $300. So.
Yeah.
Man, kudos to Nintendo, but I find that's a very, very surprising result to like me as an armchair analyst. Like I wouldn't have predicted them to have had that strong of a
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. Are you okay?
Yeah, just trying to lean back.
It's a casual podcast.
Yeah.
We need the couch back. Remember when people used to clamor for the couch?
Yes.
There's still some couch holdovers in the comments.
Are there really?
This couch
Oh, I'm sorry I
holdovers
brought it
on
up
this
then.
show.
I thought we were getting producers back in here, but I don't think anyone else is in this room with us today.
behind that.
Get away with
Maybe they're
anything.
behind the pillar over there.
Behind the studio audience?
Yeah.
What if Parker's just stepped out from behind that pillar? He'd been there the whole
Damn it, I didn't know you saw me there.
This episode of GameScoop was filmed in front of a live studio audience. Platoon on NES has music that is way, way too good for. It has no excuse to have music this cool.
It's from the original motion picture soundtrack.
No, it's not. I'm sure the soundtrack is all just like, 60s rock.
Maybe.
Anyway, moving on. This week in gaming history. There's some notable ones. This week in December of 2001 was an absolutely insane week for the Nintendo GameCube.
That
You know
never
that?
happened.
You know that? That never happened. No,
What?
dude.
In 2001?
I didn't know this week. I knew 2001.
Okay.
December 2nd, 2001, Pikmin was released. The next day, Super Smash Bros. Melee.
That was launch.
But it came out December 2nd?
The console launched a few months earlier,
Yeah.
and then Smash and Pikmin followed.
But
immediately.
they came out a day apart? It's so weird.
Yeah,
It seems like a lot.
That's
really fun
crazy.
week.
It is to have two huge Nintendo first-party exclusives come one day and then the next.
Why not the same day?
Yeah. Or a week
weird.
apart or something. I
That
don't
would
know.
never happen now.
No.
Yeah.
The same launch week? Yeah, no. For exclusives like that.
Very strange.
Yeah. What?
And also to not pull those games up 2 months to have them at your launch.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, in this day and age, they would delay one game if one had to move into the other's release even month.
yeah.
They were so stressed about that launch, I'm sure. Like, that was a rough launch. And
They had
to get
Monkey
those
Ball.
two games out before Christmas was good.
Why do you think they were stressed?
Because there was only Luigi's Mansion to play until then.
Yep.
Well, there was Star Wars.
Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, that's the one.
Fantastic.
That's the one I was playing. I think I also got Tony Hawk 3, which is good.
That was on GameCube?
And Super Monkey Ball.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get that at launch, but yeah, that was a good one. December 4th, 2003, an announcement is made that IGN and GameSpy have signed a definitive merger agreement.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. 16 years ago. And then December 6th, 2004, Knights of the Old Republic 2 was released.
KOTOR.
KOTOR 2. A game I played but didn't finish.
Yeah, I never
Finished.
played it.
The game itself is also not finished.
There you go.
Ooh.
There you go. Oh, sorry. Everything's going to be fine. Also Platoon.
Cool.
Let's open up the...
Jesus Christ. Sorry.
This is just a great episode. Great show for you today.
we're going to open up the September and October 89 issue of GamePro, which, tell me if you remember seeing this. Oh, I need to go full screen.
I can't wait for those two to see what we're looking at right now.
Do you remember seeing this? Oh, and I'll put this up on the screen on YouTube. You remember seeing this this cover art?
No.
I remember it vividly.
I never saw a GamePro growing up.
This is early GamePro too.
Yeah. It's like an airbrushed Ninja Man.
It's amazing. I mean, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But there's like no ninja game that they're even talking about covering. They're covering Wonder Boy 3, World Class Baseball.
It's not even tied into a game.
Do you think there's ninjas in World Class Baseball?
That's actually, you're probably right.
Magazine lead times probably required them. They're like, just make a ninja. It'll be fine.
There's a contest to win a trip to MTV Studios to see Yo MTV Raps. And you know this kid loves rap music.
Yeah. It's the sunglasses and the surfer haircut. that give it
So
away.
the copy that describes the contest is a rap.
Are you
So
They made up a rap.
but
Are you going to perform this?
yeah, I'm gonna but as I was rehearsing it, I realized you get tripped up pretty quickly. So it's like this.
Do you need a beat?
No, that's not gonna work. Okay.
Oh, man.
Now to find your real claim to fame, write down 5 of these Taito games: Sky Shark, Kicks, Bubble Bobble, Renegade, and Rust-Un, Demon Sword, Operation Wolf, Rambo 3, Revenge of Doe. So it doesn't really. And then going on, every sort of verse is like tripped up with this product placement. So it's like, all red hot rappers wear cool dark shades. It's the way to look. It really makes the grade. You're a guaranteed winner strutting down the street with the right pair of shades and a rapping beat. Like cool Ray-Ban drifters.
This is like insert ad voice here.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything.
Product placement.
That's the most PG rap I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah.
What is GamePro?
It goes
Yeah.
on like that. Here's an ad for HAL Games. HAL America brings you 2 hot new games. I don't know why the 2 is a numeral 2 and not spelled out, but it's for Adventures of Lolo and Rollerball, a pinball game.
It's not a, it's kind of, yeah, I guess it has flippers and a ball in it. That game sucks.
It says it's fire up for the ultimate pinball challenge.
Yeah. It's real bad. But it does scroll around a screen really fast and follow the ball, which is pretty impressive for the NES.
Yes.
Lolo's fun.
I like HAL America. It says they're the fanatic specialists. Is that what that means? Like fanatic, but fanatic?
Yeah.
And they're the fanatic specialists?
That just sounds like fun addicts.
Yeah. Or
Yeah. That's
or is it supposed to be like lunatic? Like a funatic?
Funatic? Funatic.
Fun addict.
There you go. That's Funatic. Yeah, I think you nailed
The
hit.
funatic specialists.
Yeah. Hey, is HAL Laboratories?
HAL America?
But is how? Like
HAL made
like
Super
a
Smash
Kirby,
Brothers.
yeah.
I mean,
Is there a little dog with
know.
a bunch of eggs?
nope.
Okay.
It's not that.
I know they might be puppies. I don't want to have this argument, audience. Okay. Tired of it.
Then the very next page is 2 more hot new games from HAL America.
Nice.
Twist.
Air Fortress and Vegas Dream.
Cool.
Do you know Vegas Dream?
Yeah.
They call it a great party game. Wondering what to do with your friends at your next party? Why not go to Vegas? Vegas Dream.
Remember Casino Kid?
Yeah.
What is the demographic of this readership that they're going
Yeah,
to?
exactly. They're the fanatic specialists. Okay, letters. Lots of great letters here. Keep it up, GamePro. Your magazine is awesome. I don't like it. I love it, especially the clearness of the pages and screen pictures that you take from games. Wow. You're making a real slippery magazine. The interviews and sections are all cool. I thought no one...
The editor-in-chief just wrote this to butter up the staff.
I
for the
thought no one
holidays?
would come out with a magazine that I would really enjoy this much. This is what...
Tina, can you write us letters like this?
Yeah, no one actually
best
writes
website
GameCube
ever.
does. This is what I would tremendously love to see in your future issues of GamePro. More previews on Sega games, more hot arcade games, more pages, more game pack pictures, and those cool painted pictures that you guys make.
That's
So
what's on
just
the cover.
more
That's the
work.
ninja. Yeah.
We love GameCube so much. It's such a slippery podcast.
Did they have like new embossing on their print magazine that year?
I don't know.
That much.
Maybe they were glossy pages.
Yeah,
Kid
exactly.
just made the
They
leap
just-
from
they
like
got new
funny
print.
pages to this. He's like, wow.
I love this letter. This is from Anne Rockwell. in Walkerton, Indiana, and she says, here are some of the things I would like to see in your magazine. Warp zones and shortcuts, passwords, information and help on some of the older games that didn't get write-ups, and more information on Nintendo games since they are by far the most popular. I enjoy playing Nintendo. I'm 67 and need all the help I can get in finishing most of the games.
That's so sweet.
I know.
That is
In
pretty
my
sweet.
13 years of doing this at IGN, I've never gotten a letter from a 67-year-old woman, but GamePro was doing it in 89.
Well, I think it was so cool that she was looking for the good cheat codes.
So wait,
She's looking for warp zones.
was that
Warp zones.
that's 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't going to bring it.
Maybe she found a warp zone to 2019.
Yeah.
To where we provide all of the
Damon's broken.
passwords and cheats and guides and helpful tutorials.
Oh my gosh. This is Nathan in Rush, New York. He says, I liked the fact that you gave overviews of all the different game systems, but it was still obvious that the GamePro views were dominated by Nintendo. I used to own both a Sega and a Nintendo. I invested over $500 in Nintendo games and equipment.
Yikes.
Each game I bought was solved within a month or shorter. However, as time went by, I noticed my Sega games got more and more use and seemed to become more and more challenging. It has now been almost a year and I have not solved one Sega game. I have 9 games and they have all presented a unique challenge. Sega's graphics, game ideas, and even sound effects are obviously better than Nintendo. I realize Nintendo gets readers, but Sega, I believe, needs a fair chance to prove itself.
Do you think he's talking about the Master System?
This is 89.
Could be Genesis.
Genesis probably out by then, by September, October 89.
I'm really fascinated by his use of the word solved instead of beaten.
I solved
It's a
the
British
game.
thing.
Yeah, and how levels.
He lives in New York.
And then also he thinks it's good that the games get harder as he's playing them. But I'm like a little bit worried about him.
Yeah.
He hasn't beaten any of his Sega games. This is Jeff in Sacramento, California. I am extremely disappointed with you. Even though the Atari 2600 system is still the most popular system around,
Jeff.
you never even once mentioned it. Do you realize how very few Nintendos and Segas there are compared to the 2600? I'm surprised at you people. I've played Nintendos, Segas, and all the other Atari models, and I prefer the 2600 to all of them.
No. So the Atari 2600 came out
77?
78. So that was 11 years before that. 11 years before today was 2008. The DS was going strong.
Yeah. Oh,
The
yeah,
Wii
sure.
was hot.
Still hot.
And so that would
2
be
years
like
old.
somebody writing in being like, why don't you guys cover this new DS game?
Hey, there was 100 million Wii's sold. I still play like.
I've tried every
where's the Sega
and
Saturn?
Xbox, but
I still like my Wii the best.
Wii's the best.
Wait, so did they address this letter?
Yeah, but there's a counterpoint from David Chan in Los Angeles. He says, to make your magazine better, I think you should give more information on Nintendo and Sega and less on Atari. And also give more information on Japan's games and more details about the game and give more information about future release games. Give more previews on role-playing games.
This kind of speaks to like there's always going to be subsects of your readers that are really into one thing and think like you're too biased, you're covering this topic way too much, and then other people that feel like you don't cover that topic enough, and this is exactly emblematic of that.
Yeah. They have a hot at the arcade section, and the cool thing is that I think they went to an arcade and took photos of them playing the cabinets.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's pretty cool.
yeah, there's no screenshots back then. Every magazine would take
just like-
Polaroid shots of even television screens and then cut them out and put them in their magazine. There's no digital capture.
And then they use Instagram filters, and those are bullshots.
They've got Cyberball, the robotic football game, Arch Rivals, the basketball game, and Twin Eagle, which is a vertical shoot 'em up with a helicopter that I'd totally forgotten about. But when I see it here, I'm like, oh yeah, that game was really cool.
Do you remember? So bullshot reminded me. We came up with a new term,
Oh, I forgot it.
and so bullshot is a play on the word bull shit, and we can bleep this. And so we came up with screen shit because that's the screen. Because we're saying
Shot.
bullshot, screen shit, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I forget what the context was.
I think we may have just changed the name and thought it was funny.
No, the definition would have to be the opposite of a bullshot. So it would be it's a game that looks better.
Is
than
it a bad screenshot?
Yeah, a bad screenshot for a good looking game.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
There you go.
A screen shit.
There you go. I like it. I'm not going to bleep all of those. So in the review section, the review section is confusing. They call it Pro Views, and GamePro was known for using the faces, like the happy face, the really ecstatic happy face, as if the game was good.
The like pain
If the guy
scale.
was losing his goddamn mind, they really loved it.
They hadn't implemented that yet, and there's no score or any sort of like a verdict.
No score.
They just
They're
sort
ahead
of
their
like
time.
talk. They just 2 pages sort of talking about the game. So in their Nintendo Pro View section, they do 720.
Nice.
And it just wraps up with 720 by Mindscape is an entertaining game challenging you every minute as the screen scrolls along. The graphics and animation are spellbinding. The musical scores taken right off the coin op are impressive. As you skate up the side of the concrete tidal wave, can you execute the meanest 720?
It's a terrible port.
That's just how
the music sounds awful. And the band that wrote the music in universe is named Faceplant.
That's great. I love it.
Did I do it?
They do DuckTales.
Nice.
ProView, but they don't really, again, they don't give any sort of
That's the top 10
summation
game of all time for me.
Yeah.
It's also like a
And you can
review
see-
and
wait, can you turn that
walkthrough in
this way?
one.
What's up? Oh yeah, they spin out they lay out all the levels and
Yeah. So this is what I was saying. Like they, for the layouts here, they would take a bunch of Polaroids and then they just cut them out and then they like just paste them together with tape and then that's how they show the levels.
Seeing level
So
layouts
cool.
like that was my favorite thing.
Me
yeah.
too. And I used to draw them because
Yep,
it was
so
like,
did
so
I.
fun thinking about games that way.
I drew a whole Metroid map.
Nice. On like graph paper?
Yeah. No, on
Just paper,
on
paper?
lined paper.
Yeah.
Then there's an embarrassing mistake here. In their Nintendo ProView, they have Alex Kidd in High Tech World.
Ooh.
That's a Sega Master System game. More like Game Amateur, am I right? They do Wonder Boy 3, which is a game that was recently remade and is supposed to be good, I think.
Yeah, John Ryan reviewed
Is that
it.
Dragon's Trap? I get them.
You can pop it between the
Yeah.
original graphics and the new one.
And I haven't played it, but I keep meaning to. They do the original Phantasy Star,
Whoa.
but it's broken up with this ad for Toys R Us that says, all systems go, and you're in a cockpit, and you and your co-pilot are playing the NES and the Sega Master System to land, but then it says, launch your video game career at the world's biggest toy store. So I don't know. It's very confusing.
I mean,
those
technically, we
supposed
all
to be
kind of launched our
thumbs?
careers at that store.
yeah. And this isn't how you play
Yeah.
an NES
What? I think they're supposed
with
to
your
be
index
thumbs.
finger. He's playing his NES controller with his index finger on
Something
the
just got
AMB
unplugged.
buttons.
Is that bad?
I hope not.
Damon's life support has been
The
returned.
light is still blinking over there, so I think we're okay. Oh yeah, and then I love this. I'll put this up on the screen here. But the screenshots for Phantasy Star. There's a screenshot of a cat. The cat can talk and says, "I'm Meow," and then the caption just says "Meow."
What
then
game is it for?
For Phantasy Star, and then these captions just say Odin, Noah,
That's the character's name, right? The cat is named Meow.
exploding treasure chest.
She's telling you right there.
Have you played Fantasy Star?
I'm Meow.
I've never played the
Have
original.
you played it?
I played
played-
4.
Yeah, so the original's Master System, and then 2 through 4.
Can you
I
turn
think
it this
are
way
all-
so we can see the cat?
This is the cat right here. It says, "I'm Meow."
That's really weird.
Meow.
Well, you have to sign off, you know.
All right, I think that's all for
Meow by meow.
this issue. Oh yeah, I forgot about reader tips. The readers wrote in their own tips.
Whoa.
So I'm like, was there any vetting process for this?
Absolutely not.
Like, listen, they wrote in
From
for
experience.
That was my first job at IGN, was taking in the reader submitted tips.
Cindy Taylor of Spokane, Washington wrote in a tip for Super Pitfall on Nintendo. She says, try this. At the starting point, get the gun that ups your bullet count to 40. Jump over the first waterfall to the right. Kill the frog and jump just before the second long ladder to the right for a gun. Get the gun and continue to the right. Fall down the opening in the floor and go down the ladder. Go left, kill the frog, run to the left just barely past the ladder, go back to the right and kill the frog again. Each time you run to the left and go back to the right, the frog should be back. After the 7th frog is killed, you'll hear a musical sound and receive 5 extra lives.
Whoa.
It's just so crazy. Like,
That's great.
did GamePro
And you know
actually
what?
try
Maybe
that?
Cindy, leave the frogs alone. They were just doing their thing, being frogs.
You're in their space.
That was their ladder.
Andy Coombs figured out an easy way to beat Wart in Super Mario Bros. 2.
Yeah,
Do
let's
you know
hear
that
it.
way?
I want to know that.
I'm so excited because I have just stumbled upon the ultimate tip on beating Wart in Super Mario Bros. 2. Just catch a vegetable and jump behind Wart. He will keep on shooting bubbles as if you were in front of him. Then when he opens his mouth, throw the vegetable in it. You can't miss. Believe me, it's 110% easier than standing in front of him.
I never tried going behind Wart.
Yeah.
Or maybe I did in 1990, but haven't done it since.
Maybe you have to be Peach so you can float over him. Get behind
No,
him.
I think you just you have like an arc to the way you throw vegetables. So I think I do remember that being a tip back then.
You can run under him, can't you?
You can beat him so easily just by throwing vegetables in his stupid Wart face. It doesn't matter. Hate Wart.
Anyway, that was a look into the September and October 1999 issue of GamePro magazine.
Is now the time where we talk about this?
We're getting there, but first, let's check in with listeners.
Hey,
Listeners, remember you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, just like Rachel P. did. Rachel says, I often hear you guys discussing the struggle of keeping up with your game library. With a ton of great games coming out early next year on a variety of gaming systems, Animal Crossing, Cyberpunk, Half-Life, those Apple Arcade things, do you see the gaming culture becoming oversaturated and impossible to keep up with? I've noticed other media falling into this by giving consumers too many choices, such as Netflix, Apple TV, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, HBO Max, whatever that is. It becomes impossible to watch all this great television. You're bound to miss out on something. Do you think the same will happen to the gaming industry? Do you think it will become too hard to play all the year's greatest games?
I mean, it's already happening.
Yeah.
Like there are just so many studios, and then like the indie world is so much more supported than it used to be. So much easier to find ways of banding together and finding success in that avenue. So there's tons of games out there, and especially with Apple Arcade now.
Yeah.
But that's what, reviews and whatever other preferred recommendation system, if it's like word of mouth or whatever else, that's when that stuff comes into play.
Yeah. We're here to help with that.
Yeah.
With this problem. But it's true. In 2018, last year, over 9,000 games were released on Steam. Just last year.
It's only
It's a Dragon Ball joke.
Nope. I did not. I've never watched Dragon Ball. I know that there's a
unintentional.
joke about that, but I
Yes.
wasn't intentionally doing it.
it's only 300 a day.
Only 300 a day. In 2016, I haven't seen a stat since then, but in 2016, over 500 games were being submitted to the Apple App Store every day. So it's like, yeah, there are too many games.
It's interesting that we don't ever say there's too many books, and there's been too many books for a long time. It's like you just don't have to care about so many of them.
That's true.
They don't involve you. They're just out there, and it doesn't matter.
That's the point I was going to make.
But I was also going to say that this year was not saturated with games. Like there were 2 Xbox exclusives this year. That's it. And we just gave our Game of the Year award to Gears.
Well, hold on.
Xbox.
You have to clarify. Xbox Game of the Year.
Xbox Game of the Year award to
Xbox
Gears
exclusive, yeah.
over the other game, which was
Crackdown.
Crackdown. So that's not oversaturation. Like I would love it to be oversaturated right now.
Because Battletoads didn't make it out this year.
Yeah.
Battletoads and Ori.
Ori, yeah.
But even then, those are like dinky little like small games.
You take that back.
Yeah.
There's no like giant AAA games that we were missing out on.
But still, like it's your point earlier, Damon, like when it comes to Apple games too, like there's tons that get submitted and then tons that don't actually make the cut. So there's lots of games out there that may not even have been published that exist in some form or another.
The video game industry is very fragmented now.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing happening in video games, like right now, today, besides the IGN Game of the Year award nominees, is the Halo Master Chief Collection came to Steam. There's hundreds of thousands of people playing it. Halo is back. It's one of the top streamed games. But like, if that's not the thing that you're into, if you're not an FPS player, if you're not nostalgic for Halo, like that
I didn't know it was happening.
That can pass you by, right? Like, and it's a big deal just culturally because there's a big Microsoft, like, it's a landmark moment to see that game coming to Steam to begin with, or Battle Royale games. Like, if you don't like them, they remain the biggest thing in the world of video games, but you can just let all that pass you by and continue playing Luigi's Mansion 3. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, that also brings up the point. There's this like resurgence of games, and then there are games that have longer shelf lives, like ongoing games. We have an award for that too. And then you have something like with the Halo Master Chief Collection, it supports mods, so that further extends it, and it just becomes this huge area that you can spend all your time in and miss out on other games.
Just games that millions of people play that and nothing else, like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Like, they count as gamers, but they're not really like Cyberpunk isn't gonna intrude into their consciousness next April.
Necessarily, yeah.
It's interesting that she made the point that there's so much good TV you can't watch it all now, and it's definitely to also Tina's point. It's just made me very picky about it. Like I really think out my decisions about how I'm going to spend my evenings and watch TV, and like that's actually I think pushed TV to get so much better. And so like I hope like the idea of like everybody competing for people's thumbs is going to make games better and better and better, and that's why there should be more of them.
All right, I will now explain what these things are on the table. So I got a couple letters from a GameScoop listener by the name of Blake. First one was just a copy of Splatterhouse for Xbox 360, because I was talking about Splatterhouse a lot recently, and I've actually never played this one. So I have that now. But then he also said in his letter, he said, this is not really about Splatterhouse. There's a letter to GameScoop inside the case. Well, I opened it up and there was no letter inside the case.
Aww.
But then I got another package, so I guess maybe he just forgot to include the letter. Had to include this other package. So and the other package came with this thing. Does anybody know what this is?
No.
I mean, I know what it is.
That's only because we cheated and asked him earlier.
So wait, so you've known the answer this whole time? Just let this thing sit here next
I mean,
I didn't want to spoil your surprise, Jeff.
Letter reads, my name is Blake. I'm an X-axis inverter. So
Oh, I see what this is.
the X-axis. I'm sure everyone at the table is looking at Damon like he just spoke Klingon. I'll translate. I invert the X-axis on the look camera and aim analog stick in a third-person game. Third person?
yeah, because like in Jedi Fallen Order, like you're rotating your camera the other way.
Yeah.
So the X-axis is
but not first person. I wonder why.
Yeah, but that was actually
that's
a
your
thing.
head and
like
that's-
when we were first starting with 3D, you'd always have to like choose which. Like some games rotated the other way for some reason. It seems weird now, but that happened.
Well, Blake says, I need that option to play. Others do too. Maybe not a ton, but they're out there. I have to mod for this. I've modified controllers for people from all over. When this subject is posted in forums, it's mostly ignored, especially by devs and corporations. And when recognized, the responses are similar in tone. Why would you want to do that? Or that's weird, just play normally. People don't choose to, it's just what feels natural, whether ingrained by older games like GoldenEye or Halo or the rare modern title that includes the option they needed to play. It's how they perceive the in-game universe. Asking them to use uninverted is like asking a right-handed person to just be left-handed. I wonder if the Omega Cops might agree that even if it's not important to include the minority who need it, shouldn't the inclusion of invert X be as ubiquitous as any other controller option? Take a look at PS4, Xbox One console button mapping, or the Xbox One Elite controller options. Almost seems as if they're hell-bent to exclude X inverters. I shouldn't need to mod controllers for the US, Spain, and Ireland for this. It is 2019. Thank you, Goose Camp counselors, Blake in Tennessee.
So for games that don't offer the option in the software to invert X,
He's
modding controllers to flip when the joystick goes left.
I wonder if he has a toggle switch that does that. That'd be the smartest way to do it because then you could just switch it on when you wanted to.
So this is supposed to be an analog stick.
Got it.
And this, we're not actually going to put this on anyone's head, but this is supposed to tie it on the back of their head to show that if you're like controlling someone's view, to have them look to their left, you push the controller to the right. That's it. That would be inverted.
It's like skiing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I think games need to do more in the realm of accessibility. And sometimes it's really challenging, though, right? Like it's not free; it's time consuming to, give options to make your subtitles more legible or thoughtful. Like that's a big accessibility push. But this strikes me as something that's pretty easy to do.
I mean, yeah, I'm not a game developer, but I would imagine just inverting the way the camera controls wouldn't require a lot.
I'm a game developer, and I'm working on a game that's going to get a 0.
Well, don't allow anyone to change the
Just have it
That's
inverted.
part of it.
the X or Y axis.
Well, I think the idea is just to set it to be opposite of what most people do and just leave it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally,
They'll be
like,
happy with it. But
buttons should be fully remappable in games. Nintendo's actually pretty bad about this. They often don't allow any key mapping at all. And that feels short-sighted to me. Like there's some easy and obvious stuff that people can do to make their games friendlier and more accessible to a wider range of people.
Yep.
And it's amazing the kind of things that, the options that you wouldn't know that you wanted until you had them. So like for subtitles, I love when there's the options of you can have full captions on so that you can hear when there's like footsteps around versus when you're just looking for dialogue and not like full scripting for everything. So that kind of thing is like the more options, the better. But I imagine to a level you have to prioritize what you're going to include and what you feel like options most people will want out of the game. And so it kind of limits what you can do.
Celeste had its assist mode, which is a pretty interesting example of accessibility in games. There was like, Sekiro had a borderline toxic discussion around easy modes in games and whether developers should be obligated to include them or not.
Sure.
Generally speaking, the more options that can get more people playing and enjoying your game, the better. Not even just remove the generally speaking. That statement stands on its own.
I would agree. All right, that brings us to video game 20 questions. That's also Outrun. And we begin this week not with a rejection, but a point of discussion that I want to get your guys' input on. We got a suggestion from Greg in the Bronx, and it was Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. So that's a little bit tough one. How would you guys have preferred that to be handled? Like
we would have never got that.
We would have got it probably, maybe.
But it's specifically so Final Fantasy XIV I think was out in 2010.
We would have absolutely guessed Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, that's like it's tricky. Like if a game is sort of like relaunched.
Yeah, if you get to that point, it's like that's like saying like, oh no, it was Shadow of the Colossus remake, you big dummies.
Halo Master Chief Collection.
Final Fantasy XIV is such an interesting case because I don't know how to describe what they did with that game. Like they basically just redid it. Like they're like, we got it wrong, and they redid it. So it's not. It's more than like a bug fix or like a patch, like cleaning things up. Like they redid the whole game, but then in the fiction of the game, like some of the old stuff is like like the world is like reborn, and it's this new thing. So it ties into the lore of like how the game existed.
But the point is, it's not in the Mind Palace, right? It's like we wouldn't consider that as like, we have these like unspoken rules about what games are. We don't include remakes or DLC or iterations right now, but we should for a special holiday edition. Where we only guess DLCs, remakes, special editions, and collections.
Well, we do need to like bank an episode or two over our holiday break, so that's
Pretty fun.
There you go.
For 100 questions.
And as a tradition, Damon always plays his own 20 questions.
True, yeah.
I assume you were just going to call me on Christmas. Hey, talk about video games for a few minutes.
Let the questioning begin.
I love that answer for the phone. Hey, let the questioning begin.
Yeah, people were asking why we didn't do 100 questions.
Sir, your pizza's here.
Like we did on, I guess we did that for Thanksgiving last year.
We did?
I guess we did. People told me we did.
No, we did a holiday scoop. We did it in the Let's Play room, and it was really funny. Remember that?
But I think that was a couple years ago now.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, our real 20 question suggestion this week comes from Scott. Let the questioning begin.
Mega Man 5.
Yep.
All
How
right.
did you know it was 5?
I just read it off the computer. Did this come out before the year 2000?
Yes.
Is it in GamePro issue? What was it? 88, 89?
Could it have been?
Yeah.
Could it have been? No.
Okay. Was this a...
What if there's a time traveler in the magazine? Can you... was this game developed in Japan?
You think about the Warp Zone?
Yes. Was this game developed in Japan? No.
Did this game come out on a compact disc-like format?
Yes.
Thinking what direction to go.
Can you confirm it's a PlayStation game?
Should I just say PlayStation? Was it on a PlayStation game, console?
You're asking, was it on a PlayStation console?
Yeah.
Yes, it was on a PlayStation console.
It's
Well, I guess I was going to say it
questions.
could be PlayStation 1 or 2, but then
Probably 1, because you said the year 2000.
Yeah.
So it actually
before
has to be
2000.
1.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. PlayStation 1.
Was this game exclusive to the PlayStation 1?
No.
Oh boy.
Can't be Symphony of the Night though, because that was made in Japan.
I got to know this because I'm not going to be able to help you guys guess. Was it also on the Nintendo 64?
Yes.
Okay. Phew. All right. That'll make it easier. I have that library. I don't have the PlayStation. Was this did this game have realistic graphics?
I think they were going for that for like what they were trying to do at the time. I think they were mostly going for realism.
Do you shoot in this? Do you have weapons in this game?
Shooting
Shooties.
weapons.
Lots of weapons.
Lots of
Yes.
Lots of weapons. Does this have blood?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Is it played in the first person perspective?
That's going to be I think yes. I think yes. This might be controversial, but yes, and that's 10.
Interesting.
The Turok games didn't come out on PlayStation.
No.
Was this based on a license?
No.
So the last time we got into this kind of situation, it was when we were talking about like a god game. I think it was like StarCraft, and it was like, are you surveying the battle from a ship that's up in the atmosphere?
Is it just StarCraft?
Well, but StarCraft 64 was a different game.
Do you play with in vehicles in this game
There are
on occasion?
there are vehicles in this game.
Oh, well,
Are you asking, can you control them?
yeah.
That's a different question, I guess.
Is this a strategy game?
Yes.
Oh,
It's StarCraft too.
Yeah, or
StarCraft.
Command and Conquer.
I can't picture StarCraft on PlayStation 1.
Same. I don't know that StarCraft 64 is the one I remember. Could be Command and Conquer. Could be. Well, I don't know what other strategy games there were back then, and on PS1 and 64.
Does this game have sequels now?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, we can work back from that, like Total War or
Is this game famous for having
Warcraft?
really corny FMV cutscenes in between missions?
Yes. That is 15.
Is this so? There's Command and Conquer, then there's Red Alert. So does this game have like faux? Is Red Alert?
What's the corny thing? I don't know these games.
They have FMV cutscenes in them, and they're just really famous.
Oh, they're FMV?
Yeah,
Oh, man.
they're like they're a lot like what was the Mark Hamill Wing Commander?
Wing Commander.
Yeah, they're really cheesy like Wing Commander.
Oh, boy.
It doesn't have Tim Robinson in one of the games, I think. Does it have? Is it like alternate history Russia as like the villains and stuff like that?
Don't think so.
So it's not Red Alert.
So
That's
it's just Command and Conquer?
That's probably Command and Conquer. I don't know.
Is this the first in a series?
Yes.
Is it Command and Conquer?
Yes.
Weird. I don't know anything about that series.
You would know it's a RTS, right?
Yeah. Well, I would just know it's a strategy game. I didn't
Harvest
know
and
it's
Tiberium. I played a lot of Command and Conquer.
Well done, Justin.
I like Command and Conquer 2 is one of the only games that I laddered on in like PC gaming, like played competitively.
What does laddered mean?
Like there was a competitive ladder where you would match up against other people of your skill level, and then you would try to like rank as high as you could. And
You
then
saying you were a pro gamer?
I was never good enough to be a pro gamer.
A
but
gamer pro?
I was ranked.
GamePro
I was
writer?
ranked in Red
GamePro?
Alert 2. That is a true trivia fact about me.
So Scott, who sent in the suggestion, said, I had so much fun playing this game with my friends over the dial-up modem back in the day. Nothing was more heartbreaking than spending an hour to build up your units, and right as your epic assault was about to commence, someone would call our house and would disconnect our game. Absolutely tragic.
That's great. Well, don't at me.
Yeah, you don't get to at Sam.
Damon, you have some bleeping to do.
Nicely job. I'm gonna let you do the bleeping.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to use Pikachu. He's going to go Pika every time.
We only have two
Screen Pika.
We only have 2 regular episodes this year.
Oh, come on.
And next week, we'll see. You guys might not be on next week. Okay. I'm going to try to get the heads of the 4 houses, all of our podcasts together for like a sort of a year wrap up. But I gotta work with everyone's schedules. And then the week after that, let's all meet here for the Damie Awards.
Oh,
Can we be in the studio audience for that episode?
Yes, you can. I can get you guys tickets.
All right.
I know a guy. I'll get you tickets for the live GameScoop audience.
Okay.
But that's all the scoops we have for you this week. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Sam.
Thank
you,
you.
Tina. Remember, you can always reach us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com. Join the fan group on Facebook. My name is Damon. This is IGN GameScoop. I wrap.